mixed emotions at my thoughtlessness. After all, I'm forever in your debt. I love you. Yeah, yeah. Now and forever. I love you. Yeah, yeah. Now and forever. I love you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Breast Cancer Awareness Show. I am your host, Tom Marino. The Breast Cancer Awareness Show is on every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find the show by going to www.breastcancerawarenessddv.com and clicking on Tune In. The show is also on every morning at 11 a.m., and at that time you can listen to the recorded broadcast. You can also go to the website and click on the month and then the program that you want to listen to, as all of our previous programs are recorded and uploaded on the site. My mission with this program is to save as many women's lives as possible through education and preventative measures. I have guests on the program who are well-schooled in these measures. I also post information on the Donna Marino Breast Cancer Foundation Facebook page and the Putting on the Pink Facebook page. Please visit these pages as often as possible. If you would like to heal yourself naturally to avoid illness, especially cancer, I recommend purchasing the following two books: Heal Breast Cancer Naturally by Dr. Veronique Desaulnier. And you could find her book by going to her website, www.breastcancerconqueror.com. And she is also on Facebook by finding her on Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. And also Radiant Health, Ageless Beauty by Dr. Christine Horner. And Dr. Horner can be found on Facebook. And also to get her book, you can go to her site, www.drchristinehorner.com. This morning I am happy to have as my guest a return visit by Dr. Ken Redcross. Dr. Redcross is founder of the Red Cross Concierge, a personalized medical practice designed to enhance the patient-doctor relationship while providing convenient access to a full spectrum of healthcare services and holistic and wellness counseling. As one of the first full-service concierge personalized medical practices in the United States, Dr. Redcross' patient portfolio includes executives, athletes, and entertainers, as well as individuals from all walks and stages of life. His focus on developing the patient-doctor bond is a unique characteristic of his concierge services that allows for a more strategic and customized approach to each patient's healthcare plan. Dr. Redcross earned his medical degree from Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York, specializing in internal medicine. He has extensive on-camera experience with major national television shows, including The Doctors, Headline News' Nancy Grace, The Insider, and E! Entertainment Television. And today's subject will be pain and how to handle it. So good morning, Dr. Redcross, and welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me back. It is wonderful to talk to you again. It's been way too long.
I agree. You were a fantastic guest the last time, and I was so happy and grateful for you to be on, and I'm so happy and grateful for you to be back.
Well, I return the sentiments. Thank you, Thomas. Definitely. So today we are going to talk about pain, and I'm ready to go whenever you guys are.
Yeah, we're ready. We can rock and roll.
Good. Well, look, you've touched upon something. I mean, right now we know that we are having a major problem here in the United States, really in the world, but as far as our focus here in the United States, The problem is we're looking for relief in all the wrong places, Thomas. We're looking at medication and pills, and you know how I feel about that. So one of the big things I wanted to make sure that we touched on together as a team, us and all of the listeners, is that we figure out more holistic or natural ways to actually manage our pain instead of all these pills, which are causing such a problem in our country at this point.
Totally agree with you. And like we discuss on this program pretty much every week, is the holistic, natural way of going about your lifestyle, taking care of yourself, and trying to get away from drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you say that, it's interesting, Thomas, because I don't think everyone understands. I mean, I'm not the biggest statistic guy in the world, but when I see some statistics that really matter, I love to share them. And it looks as if 125 million Americans actually spend almost 300 billion, that's with a B, for pills or pot, marijuana procedures that, quite frankly, just do not work, when we have some natural options right at our fingertips that we probably should take advantage of. So that's a statistic that really stood and jumped out at me.
Well, that's another one, too, that I obviously not only was surprised by, but obviously disturbed by, but I understand the situation, because the first thing that everybody does, like we talk about, is go to their doctor, and the doctor usually prescribes some kind of drug to take care of their illness or aches and pains or whatever they may be. And it's, the whole thing about this show and so many other shows and so many other people that are involved with holistics and natural treatments and remedies is to try to educate people and make them understand that, there's a better way, obviously.
No, you're right, and you hit the nail on the head. A lot of the problem that we're seeing in America, we as physicians, I kind of have to raise my hand and say, this is kind of under our watch. It's kind of our fault in a sense. I mean, obviously, if there's patients that are taking more medication than they should or that's prescribed, then they have to, of course, own up to that. But it's up to us in the medical community to educate patients and let them know that some of the medications they were given by some physicians were potentially quite addicting. Some patients, I don't think, knew that, and so now we have a spiral effect, and we're trying to get ahead of it now, but quite frankly, we're a little bit behind now, so it's going to be a little more challenging to deal with.
Well, it's rough because, the average ordinary person doesn't know usually, what the right thing is to do or what to do when they go to see their doctor. I mean, we've had this conversation before, and I always speak about you from the last time we spoke about how you sit down with your patients and try to get a feel about their life, their situation, and have a conversation and try to get them to understand where you're coming from as opposed to just writing a script. So
right.
But this is a serious issue across America and around the world, obviously. I have a friend of mine who just recently had some outpatient surgery, just a minor issue that he had with his knee. And he told his doctor that, maybe in 2 or 3 days he'll be fine. And the doctor prescribed him 60 Oxycontin.
Oh, my gosh. My gosh.
And he didn't want to take them because he knows, what Oxycontin is, obviously. And he just took a few. And that was it, but this is what's going on, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a problem. And I said, oh my gosh, because, especially now with everything going on, once again, in the medical community, we need to be a little more cognizant of this. I remember, Thomas, you're not going to believe this. When I started my first year in practice, which was many, many moons ago, I remember coming to a medical group that would have contracts with their patients. And when I say contracts, because you'd have patients who would come in with low back pain. So they'd have low back pain, and they would say that they needed a certain amount of control with that. So the contract would be up to 240 Vicodin a month. And the first of each and every month, they would honestly come there, bright, shine, rise and shine at the office to get 240 Vicodin. And this is back in 2001. And even then, Thomas, I didn't know that this was going to happen, but I didn't feel right about that as far as the way that patients should be treated, number one. And then number two, that there had to be a better way than with my prescription pad. So even back in 2001, it didn't make sense for someone to get almost 300 Vicodin. And now you fast forward 10 years later, and here we are in epidemic proportions as far as addiction. So I'm not surprised that your friend was given 60 Vicodin, but it just, at this point in time, you would think that we really need to all put our thoughts around really what's going on and understand that we're part of the problem.
Well, this is true, and sadly, obviously you're well aware of this more than I am, but there's a lot of doctors out there that like to go and hit up the insurance companies, and so the more they prescribe, the more they're getting back.
Wow. Yeah, and see, that gets back again to the medical community as a whole. I wish I could draw a picture for all the listeners starting from the top, going down to the bottom, because if I could draw that for everyone, and you look on the top, the left, and the right, all of these organizations, or a lot of these, I guess you better say organizations, they're not talking to one another. So we each are incentivized for different reasons. Some of us are incentivized to stay unhealthy, unfortunately. Like, if you're staying in the hospital, guess what? The hospital gets more money. I don't mean it in a negative way, but what I mean is that the business models don't align. So my goal is to keep you out of there. So, I'm at the ground level as far as, everything's about the patient. But then you have therapists who also are paid differently to see people, when I'm saying physical therapists and so forth. So that's what I mean. We as a medical community are trying to come together and say, our whole goal should be to take care of the patient. How can we do that together and make sure that we're all able to also feed our families as well? And it's a very, very complex problem. But now I think addiction is really causing everyone to come together and say, look, guys, we dropped the ball somewhere. And we need to figure out as an organization, as a medical community, how we can make things better, because a lot of lives are being destroyed.
Oh, absolutely. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And yet, I would think, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, that it's like, for me, I'm in my own business. I do construction. I build homes. But I understand it's basically we're on the same path, because what you're doing, obviously, is the right thing. And I would think that in the long term, it would actually benefit you more than just pulling out your pad and writing a script for drugs, because the more people that find out about you and learn about how you handle your practice and as far as how you feel about staying away from drugs that, could be addicting and trying to do like a more natural approach, I think in the long term, you would get more patients that way. And that's how I approach my business. I look at the big picture, and I look about, I think about quality every single day. And I may not have 10 jobs at once, but I get top quality jobs, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no, you're right. The universe makes it all work out at the end of the day. And like you, luckily, thank God, I'm not financially driven. For me, it's so much purpose and mission. And so I've learned that over the years, if I go with what's in my heart, my purpose, my mission spiritually, it's funny. It just works out. It just works out. However it does, it just works out, and it's happy because it completes me. And I think that's the important part. I think since I'm mission-driven, I don't have to think about a financial benefit for me or my family. It just happens. And when you do right by other people, I think it's just, like I said, it's almost like the law of the universe. I know that's very kind of foo-foo and spiritual. I think I got that when I went out to L.A. To open up to a lot of different ways. But just spiritually, it's funny. It just all works out. And the whole goal for me is to make people happy. And that's being able to do that holistically and closer to the earth.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's how I feel, too. I feel the same way. And like I said, I mean, if you do the right thing, then the right people will come along, and the best things will happen to you. And
absolutely.
You see that in all walks of life. Any business that you look at that's going on anywhere, the people that are always trying to cut corners and make a fast buck are the ones that are gone, and the ones that are doing the right thing and hanging in there and doing what's right and what's good for others are the ones that survive, obviously.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Well said.
So let's talk about some of the natural treatments that you would recommend for pain.
Sure. So, look, when we're talking about pain, a lot of different things that actually come into my office, but some of the more common complaints tend to be that of muscle pain, joint pain, and head pain or headaches. Those are the big ones, and those are the big ones that I'd love to really talk about. Because when we're talking about muscle pain, we all get muscle pain from several things. Overuse injuries. One of the bigger things for overuse injuries nowadays, believe it or not, are our cell phones or our smartphones. When we're all bending our necks down all day. You know, you get people with upper back pain, neck pain, they don't really understand. And if you come here to New York City, it's funny, when you're walking in the middle of Manhattan, you see everyone's head is kind of down, and you wonder why everybody comes in with this musculoskeletal pain. Right. And also you get them from injuries and that sort of thing. But the good thing is that there are a lot of things that can really help muscle pain that are more natural. So as we talk about it, I want everyone to think about three important things. We're going to talk about ways to treat it with our diet, and also be able to treat it with relief remedies that are also, as I said earlier, really closer to the earth, and then some things that we can change lifestyle-wise that could also benefit. So one of the bigger things when I think about in the diet and dealing with muscle pain tends to be that of turmeric. So turmeric is the base of a lot of Indian food and is a natural anti-inflammatory. They've been using it for thousands of years in India as the base for their food. But now, Tom, we're starting to see a lot of studies that are really showing that, gosh, there is some benefit to that, and it's something that we really need to consider. You can even add that to your food. They do have it encapsulated, but once again, I love to just add it directly to the food itself, and you get a lot of benefit, and that's probably in your cabinet. One of the other things you can use, or several of the other things I should say, are pumpkin seeds, cashews. A lot of the nuts are rich in magnesium. And when you think about magnesium, magnesium is wonderful because when you ingest magnesium, it gets absorbed into the muscles and has direct relieving effect for pain in the muscles as well. So here we are talking about the ability to go right to our cabinet, get a little bit of turmeric, add some nuts to our diet, and really get some pain benefits. And those are the things that a lot of my patients love to talk about before we're talking about things like Vicodin or Percocet and those sort of things.
Exactly. And I could totally understand that. And that's, you know, exactly what I believe in. And that's the path that I've been taking, and also the way that I've been helping others that have come and asked for help or advice, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. And as we continue to talk about muscle pain, that's great as far as the diet. But once again, I promise you that we would also talk about some relief remedies. Because when you're using the diet, I like to add relief remedies in addition to that. And one of the best ones that I found is a homeopathic medicine. It's actually derived from Arnica montana, which is also known as the mountain daisy. I love that there, Tom, because everyone knows that we're talking about plants. That just makes you feel that everything is so helpful and holistic and close to the earth again. But the reason why I like Arnica montana, it's sold as Arnicare. A lot of people probably already have heard of it. But it can be taken orally and topically. So I love to take it orally. They're little pellets. They dissolve under your tongue. The orally I love to use when we have generalized pain. Kind of like you, for instance, Tom, you're talking about construction. You're outside. You've been working all day. Your body's kind of achy. I love the pills for generalized pain. But when I'm going and I'm just coming back, for instance, from the gym, and I have a little bit of a leg that is a little tender or sore, then I love the cream. And the good thing about the cream or the gel, the topicals, is that it doesn't have that medicine-y smell like some of the other over-the-counter things. And not only that, it helps for any bruising and swelling as well, which is why a lot of my plastic surgery colleagues love to use it after they do their surgeries, because you get bruising after doing maybe a nose job or some work around the eyes. So actually, Arnica also helps for that as well. One of the other things I love when I tell patients, I like to make it easy for them. And when you have Arnicare and you go find it, it's everywhere now. It's in the grocery stores, it's even in CVS. It's everywhere you go now. So it makes it easy for them. So you've looked in your cabinet to deal with the pain of the muscles. Now you have Arnicare, where you can actually go anywhere to get it and use it however works best for you, in the gel or cream or either orally. And so, once again, it's making life easy for patients to really get better quicker, because when you make things difficult, they start using different options in order to get well, because no one wants to be in pain. And no matter what we do, there's some things that we all have as a common thread, and we all at some point will go through pain.
Absolutely. And the best part about what's happening now with all of the natural treatments and herbs and supplements and whatnot is that it's these supermarkets, like you're saying, are starting to catch on and realizing that the market is growing for
Oh, yeah.
these products, and they're actually bringing more and more of them into their stores. And I've been seeing that as, I go to the store. I see that more and more now.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. And as we talk about things that we can do as far as our lifestyle, I mean, that's things such as Epsom salt. Epsom salt, once again, at the end of a long day, probably for you or your guys, Thomas, on the construction site, getting the bath and getting Epsom salts are important. And it's not just the warm water that's soothing, but the actual salts help to, once again, magnesium to run into the muscles that way. And gives you a lot of relief as well. Now, who wouldn't like a warm bath as a way to avoid some of these addicting medications with some of the other things we talked about? So I love to kind of marry all three of those things together to really help with muscle pain when we're dealing with it. Now, when we're talking about joint pain, it's a little different there, because with joint pain, as you know, that can come from some of the things we've talked about, feeling like muscle pain, but joint pain can come from arthritis, which is a total different process. Rheumatoid arthritis, gout, some of those things. But when we talk about the diet to manage joint pain, it's different, because what you do is you avoid things to help joint pain. When I say avoid things, I'm talking about things that, Tom, we know we shouldn't do, such as high fructose corn syrup, processed foods, fried foods, sugar such as through sodas. Those things are no-brainers. But they actually help with joint pain when you dial back on those things, because they cause inflammation. And the whole point of disease that I love to talk about is that it's all about inflammation. And if you can eliminate inflammation, you can help pain, whether it be from muscle pain or joint pain that we're talking about. So that's something to think about. It's about avoidance in order to be able to manage pains of the joints.
Well, that's true, and that's another thing, obviously, as we continue to educate ourselves, and I continue to educate myself, that I'm seeing from my own experiences as I continue to move away from these things that were no good for me since I was a little kid, obviously, and just taking them, such as the sodas and the snacks and the cakes and the cookies and the chips and all that kind of stuff. I'm seeing my body change for the better, and things are working out better for me as far as health is concerned, and just looking at myself in the mirror.
No, you're right. It's so important, and that's once again simple. It's avoidance, and and I see that it doesn't necessarily take long, because once you start realizing that you're not having the pain and you're not eating so poorly, you start to really crave things that are a little more healthy. You start to crave a little bit more fruit or a few more vegetables, because it's like you almost don't want to sabotage all the good work that you've done thus far and the way you're feeling. So it really causes everything to change. With joint pains, one of the great relief remedies tends to be glucosamine. Now, glucosamine, there are studies back and forth that you'll read. Some love glucosamine with chondroitin and some don't. But I'll tell you this, a lot of the patients that I have love glucosamine because, once again, it's a natural way to try it. And the good thing is, if it doesn't work for them, that's okay. It's still better than what the alternative was, and we could try some other steps. One of the things I'm excited about is that it looks as if we're finding out that those who have lower vitamin D may also have increased joint pain. And there's a group called the Organic and Natural Health Association, and they have a website, thepowerofd.org, where they have decided to focus the entire year about getting the word out about vitamin D, so much so that you can actually order at-home vitamin D kits, where they can be sent to you. You can get your vitamin D level checked, send it back to them, and they'll send you the results, which, once again, I love for patients because it makes it easy for them to understand. Something as simple as getting more vitamin D, whether it be through a supplement or whether it be through your diet with dairy, if you can tolerate dairy, is a really big thing to, once again, help with pain of the joints. And it's easy enough. As far as making sure we talk about lifestyle changes, it's about weight loss. And, in fact, I love this statistic too, Tom. And I promised you, I'm not big on a lot of statistics. I don't know where they come from, but this is a good one. That if you lose 1 pound, it actually equates to about 4 pounds on the joints. And that's a big thing, because if you end up using 3 pounds, then you know at that point you have 12 pounds that are off of your joints as far as the wear and tear. And guess what? That helps with pain again. So something else to think about. So you are not doing all this stuff in vain, cutting back on the cookies, cutting back on the sodas. It all is a wonderful circle that all gets back to health and healing.
Exactly. Well, we're going to take a break right now. So hang in there, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Tri-State Health and Wellness. If you're searching for a doctor who truly cares about your health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. Dr. Alex specializes in treating law enforcement professionals and their families and features special hours to accommodate different work shifts. All necessary testing can be performed in their friendly and comfortable environment. Contact Tri-State Health and Wellness, located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Call 201-791-7771. That's 201-791-7771. Wayne Ford. If you are looking for a certified used or new vehicle, look no further. Visit Wayne Ford, New Jersey's law enforcement preferred dealer. Featuring the largest inventory of pre-owned vehicles in the tri-state area, Wayne Ford has been proudly serving the community for over 50 years. Conveniently located 1/4 mile from the Willowbrook Mall on Route 46 in Wayne, New Jersey, contact Wayne Ford today. Toll free 888-349-6857. That's 888-349-6857. Kale Orthopedic Center, featuring high-performance care for bodies in motion. Kale Orthopedic is proud to provide comprehensive orthopedic care for New Jersey's finest. Every day you put your body at risk, and Kale Orthopedic is here to help you. Contact Kale Orthopedic at 201-447-3880. That's 201-447-3880. Kale Orthopedic, high-performance care for bodies in motion. If you're tired of sleeping alone each night, contact Dr. Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is New Jersey's law enforcement professional's preferred sleep apnea doctor. With the use of a custom-fitted oral device, you can now look forward to a restful night's sleep. Contact Dr. Doblin, featuring 2 convenient locations in Fairlawn and Trenton, New Jersey. Call 201-396-9338 or visit athomesleepsolutions.com. If you're looking for the widest variety of talk programs, entertaining, engaging, diverse, uncensored, and opinionated, visit ddvradio.com. You can listen on your smartphone, tablet, or any mobile device. DDV Radio brings you the widest variety of talk programs such as Living Life Well, Your World Uncensored, The Canine Authority, and The Wise Guys Show. Visit www.ddvradio.com, the official radio network of NJ Blue Now. Tri-State Health and Wellness. If you're searching for a doctor who truly cares about your health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. Dr. Alex specializes in treating law enforcement professionals and their families and features special hours to accommodate different work shifts. All necessary testing can be performed in their friendly and comfortable environment. Contact Tri-State Health and Wellness, located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Call 201-791-7771. That's 201-791-7771. Wayne Ford. If you are looking for a certified used or new vehicle, look no further. Visit Wayne Ford, New Jersey's law enforcement preferred dealer. Featuring the largest inventory of pre-owned vehicles in the tri-state area, Wayne Ford has been proudly serving the community for over 50 years. Conveniently located 1/4 mile from the Willowbrook Mall on Route 46 in Wayne, New Jersey, contact Wayne Ford today. Toll free 888-349-6857. That's 888-349-6857. Kale Orthopedic Center, featuring high-performance care for bodies in motion. Kale Orthopedic is proud to provide comprehensive orthopedic care for New Jersey's finest. Every day you put your body at risk, and Kale Orthopedic is here to help you. Contact Kale Orthopedic at 201-447-3880. That's 201-447-3880. Kale Orthopedic, high-performance care for bodies in motion. If you're tired of sleeping alone each night, contact Dr. Doblin of at-home sleep solutions. Dr. Doblin is New Jersey's law enforcement professionals' preferred sleep apnea doctor. With the use of a custom-fitted oral device, you can now look forward to a restful night's sleep. Contact Dr. Doblin, featuring 2 convenient locations in Fairlawn and Trenton, New Jersey. Call 201-396-9338 or visit athomesleepsolutions.com. If you're looking for the widest variety of talk programs, entertaining, engaging, diverse, uncensored, and opinionated, visit ddvradio.com. You can listen on your smartphone, tablet, or any mobile device. DDV Radio brings you the widest variety of talk programs such as Living Life Well, Your World Uncensored, The Canine Authority, and The Wise Guys Show. Visit www.ddvradio.com, the official radio network of NJ Blue Now.
Okay, welcome back to the Breast Cancer Awareness Show. And again, my name is Tom Marino, and I am the host of the show. The show is on every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you could find us by going to www.breastcancerawarenessddv.com and clicking on Tune In. Again, my guest this morning is Dr. Ken Redcross. And before we go any further, Doctor, let's talk about how listeners can get in touch with you and communicate with you.
Sure, absolutely. My website is drredcross.com, drredcross.com, just like the American Red Cross. And on Twitter, I am at Dr. Red Cross. And by all means, please feel free to reach out. I love meeting new people, talking, answering questions, all of that good stuff.
Okay, and are you also on Facebook?
I am, and that's Ken Red Cross MD, actually, at Facebook, absolutely, which is another forum or media to reach out to me. So that's Ken Red Cross MD on Facebook.
And obviously, with social media being so huge, that most people are going to obviously communicate, if not everybody is communicating now on social media.
Yeah, I know. I guess I'm a little bit of a throwback where I love the phone, but I think you're right. Everyone kind of reaches out that way through Twitter especially.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you just said, if you walk around the streets, all you see is people on their cell phones.
That's it. These smartphones revolutionized everything.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it did revolutionize things, but it also made your health issues a lot worse, as you know.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. I totally agree with you there.
So I guess we'll move on to head pain, and this is something that I think I know that women have a lot more problems with head pain than men do.
Oh, yes, for a whole bunch of different reasons. I think we give a lot of the head pains to them, but without that, you're right, women do. And a lot of it on the female side tends to be hormonally, I mean, with estrogen and progesterone and that sort of thing. So you're right. When the menstrual cycles come in particular, there's a surge, and that can cause a problem. And so, it's interesting when you talk about headaches, because headaches they're so common, and they can affect your relationships. They can lead to issues as far as employment, time missed, and can also predispose to depression. So when we talk about headaches, it's even more important that we figure out ways to treat this holistically, because you can't take pills all day and every day. There's so many different types of headaches. I mean, you're talking tension headaches, migraine, cluster headaches, and there's different reasons for all of them. So, when we talk about that, one of the bigger things, and I should have mentioned for muscle pain and joint pain even as well, but one of the big things is stress. Stress can affect us throughout all three of these issues and even more. And right now, with the way the world is and a lot of the challenges that we're seeing and so forth, a lot of us are stressed, and that can actually predispose to medical or physical problems. So when we're figuring out how to manage all of these things, I mean, the first thing you need to make sure is understanding that things like sleep deprivation, in other words, not getting enough rest, some of the medications can cause side effects. Some of these things are all contributing to this. So as we do this, we need to think about some things that, once again, that we can change in our diet that can be quite beneficial. And much like that of joint pain, Tom, we need to avoid some things. I mean, we realize that, dairy, while dairy is good, I know we talked about joint pain, for instance, we talked about vitamin D, and if it's low, that dairy can be beneficial. But on the flip side, dairy may actually increase the severity of some headaches, and peanut butter even. But more importantly, it's important to avoid the nitrates. And those are the things that you get out of bacon and hot dogs. That is a big no for those out there who deal with frequent headaches there, because it appears that the nitrites can cause problems as far as with the blood vessels. And when that happens, it increases blood flow, and guess what? That is painful to the brain. MSG is something that you need to be careful of. Here in New York, we eat so much Chinese food. We have great Chinese food, and so some of the Chinese restaurants, unfortunately, still cook with MSG. It can predispose to headaches as well. So a lot of dietary things to avoid when you're dealing with that as far as with headaches. But on the relief remedy side, I'm encouraged by a couple of things. One, actually an herb called feverfew. And much like that of arnica, which is from Arnica, Montana, the mountain daisy that we talked about, this is also from the daisy family. And feverfew has been shown to be quite beneficial for those who have frequent headaches as well. So that excites me because a lot of people have been doing really well. Not only feverfew, but then you think about oils. And these oils are actually really pretty much applied to the sides of the temple. And the oils in particular are peppermint oils, lavender, for instance, which I think a lot of us have already know about the importance of lavender, and also basil oils are also beneficial for headaches. And these things always get me very excited because these are things that we can have once again in our cupboards. And guess what? They're not addicting. None of the things we've talked about, lavender, peppermint oil, basil oils, feverfew, we talked about Arnica, Montana, none of these things are addicting, and they're safe, and they're worth trying before you go to the office of the doctor and get a prescription to take home. Because don't forget, we're not only talking about addiction when we're writing some of these medications, but the potential side effects could be worse than the whole problem that you went to see the doctor for. And so that doesn't make sense to me. So that's why some of these things for headache, they're exciting because they really have helped several patients get better easier than taking some of these other medications.
Well, you made a good point there, and I'm sure that you get frustrated. I know I do when I see these commercials on television for drugs, and they're everywhere constantly. And the list of side effects is as longer than our arms. And so if you would just listen to it and just think about it, like when I see these commercials and I hear this, I just go, well, why would you take this thing? Why would you even try this drug? Why would you even attempt to take this drug when there's so many side effects that could happen? I mean, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, as opposed to doing something natural, which there's not going to be any side effects. So this is, again, the whole thing about education is just trying to get people to understand that there's a better way. And that's really our biggest challenge, is just trying to get that information out there and get them to understand that this is not voodoo, and it's something that you need to give it a shot and try. And if you try it, you're more than likely going to be satisfied and realize that you're on a better path.
You're so right. And not only that, Tom, that gets back to my real passion when we talked about earlier what you touched upon. It's the patient-doctor bond again. Because what happens is that you need to have the ability to be able to go into your doctor's office and have some discussion around some of the things that we've talked about. Have a discussion. Have a place where you also educate your physician. Hey, look, what do you think? I heard a doctor on the radio. He mentioned Mabry turmeric or this Arnica, Montana or feverfew. He's mentioning things. What do you think? And this isn't a challenge thing, right? Because as I told you, your doctor should feel like a member of your family. So even if you sit down with your doctor and your doctor says, I've never heard of those things, I don't know if they work, that's okay, because once again, it's dialogue. And one of the things that's important to me is when patients used to do that and used to talk to me, I'd go educate myself. I'd go and see, are there really any studies? Is this something that is just not going to work, is going to be detrimental to my patient? Or is this something that, gosh, I can add this to what I do. I can add this and say, I read another study. There's nothing wrong with the physician saying I'm being educated by my patient on some of these things that are on the internet. So I don't mean to profess that all of these things that we're talking about, Tom, that I just knew out of residency and knew out of training, because I didn't get any of this in that way. I got this stuff by listening to patients and realizing that there were alternative ways of healing and saying, there's got to be a better way. So I don't want everyone to go out and necessarily beat up on their doctor if they don't know some of these things, because I'm learning every single day myself. And as I do that, I enjoy sharing that with everyone out there, because once again, I could really sleep at night knowing that everything we've talked about tonight has been all about you, has been all about the patient. And that sort of thing makes me feel really good, and especially if patients start to feel better because of these things.
Absolutely. And that's another good point that you bring up, as far as, a lot of people, doctors included, think that they know everything and get offended if somebody brings something up to them. I know it happens. But I'm in the same position that you are in. I mean, I've been in construction for 32 years, but I don't think for 1 minute that I know everything. And
right.
I like to learn more, and I like to get feedback. And when I do learn something else from somebody else, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, hey, you know what? Now I know one more thing that I can do a better way. And that's
right.
And that's life. I mean, that's how life is, and that's how you got to look at your life, and that's what you do in your life. So somebody like you, who sits down, like I said, gets information, looks it up, checks into it, understands that you don't know everything and you want to learn more. I mean, that's what we all should be doing. But of course, that's not the case. There's a lot of egos out there that get bruised when somebody brings something up, especially if it's just a quote unquote patient speaking to a doctor who's got all this education and experience. A lot of these doctors get offended and don't want to, go that route. And so I always tell everybody, go in with a list of questions, and if the doctor can't answer them, then there's a good chance that you need to find somebody else, because, this is serious. Besides what we're talking about today, I mean, obviously, my focus is on breast cancer, and when I talk to women, then they communicate with me, they get in touch with me, they reach out to me. I always, explain to them, and they understand, obviously, how serious it is, and they need to know that they're dealing with the right person, and it's very important.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Very important. And much like, my focus, or what's important to me, is obviously very important to you as far as your cause, and once again, making a difference in the people's lives who you touch. And I think that's important. And I think when you go into your doctor's office, if you have that relationship, in which I think we all should have, then ego goes out the door. I mean, like you said, every physician can't know every single thing in every single medical book. I always joke around and tell patients, look, I'm not fully cooked yet. I'm still cooking and marinating and that sort of thing, and I think I will be until the end of time. Mm-hmm. But I think when you have that kind of relationship, ego's kind of out of the door, because remember, I said that the doctor should feel like a member of your family. Just like a family member, you should be able to sit down and say, what do you think? And figure out what we can do to, once again, get the health and healing. And I think that that's that relationship that you're building with your audience, and that I build with patients when I'm able to touch them. So, that's the important thing in what we're doing. And especially when the topic today, for instance, when we're dealing with pain, that takes a concerted effort by everyone. No one person, especially obviously if they have family, really deals with pain alone. They bring the family into that. The wife is upset because the husband is in a lot of pain, or vice versa, or because the child is in pain. And so pain affects everyone. You don't live in this little vacuum and then you deal with your pain and that's it. That's why pain is so complex. But once again, when everyone's together, and everyone has a similar goal and purpose, it makes things a lot easier to really deal with and manage.
Well, this is true, and again, it's all about education. I don't know how many. I just continue to push that. You gotta do your research. You got to do your homework, and I tell everybody that. We talk about that every week on this program, and that's what it's about. I mean, because people don't know. They just don't know, and so they panic. Like you said, they panic pretty much when somebody gets ill or somebody has pain or whatever. And the first thing they want to do is either run to the drugstore or go to the hospital emergency room or whatever. And, again, if everybody would get on this cycle, this routine, and start doing these things that will alleviate all these issues and cure all these issues, they would be a lot better off. But I mean, again, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
So, do you ever discuss meditation with your patients?
I do. It's funny you said that. I printed out an article, and I promise you, Tom, I wish I could teleport you here so you could see this, but I have an article here from a friend of mine who wrote an article on meditation and the way that she does so. My big thing is that I love meditation. I try to do it. I would love to do it every day, but I definitely have to be honest in saying I'm really averaging maybe about 3 or 4 times a week, which I need to improve on because meditation is so impactful. Number one, meditation is impactful because one thing we don't do anymore is none of us, or a lot of us, do not unplug enough. Every time you're turning around, you're sitting there, you think you're relaxing, but guess what? You're looking at your phone because you see that you just got an email from work on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then you address it. Or either you're dealing with your phone because you're making phone calls. None of us really unplug as far as our brain. So one of the things I love to talk to patients about is the fact that meditation or mindfulness can actually cause healing. It's the same thing, or the same reason, Tom, when you'll have some patients who may have breast cancer, and then there are any other kind of cancer, and they want to get full healing, and they've been given a diagnosis with a poor prognosis. But then they go to the Himalayas, or they go to some place in Tibet, and next thing you know, they come back 6 months later, and they're cancer-free. Then they see the docs, and the doctors, we say, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how, this was given the worst prognosis. And then the point is the mind is so powerful, which is in itself another drug, and it's another drug that is not addicting and is 100% you. So I don't believe in illness. I talk to patients about that. I know we have some things. We have diabetes. We have hypertension. I know there's some things that we need to tweak. But I think it's important to really focus and say, when you're dealing with illness is some other response or relationship to something that is potentially environmental, something that is potentially spiritual, something else that we can also fix to make that better. Because I think if we all really focus on the fact that we come out as a healthy body, and what other things in the environment has changed that potentially or affected that we can reverse. And the way that we can do that, I think, is through our diet and some of these close relief remedies that are close to the earth, as I always say. So meditation is huge as far as I'm concerned. And I talk to patients about it all the time, but I have to definitely let patients know that, I try for every day, but I'm usually doing about 4 days a week, and I'm trying for those elusive 3 days because it can be so impactful for your health overall. And I have no problem doing that or talking to patients about that. I like to live on that side more so than the other side, which is thinking that we can always fix these problems with prescriptions or these things that are more of the Western society. I think the Eastern society has had this down for a lot longer than we have.
No, absolutely. You're 100% correct on that. And you're totally right when it comes to our environment and the environment as far as illness is concerned, because that's the whole ball game right there. I mean, everything that we do in our life affects us in a negative or positive way. Wherever we go, whatever we do, whatever we breathe, eat, drink, whatever the case may be. And like I said, even with the technology today, with the cell phones and whatnot, I mean, they're so bad for us. But everybody has one. Everybody's got one by the rear. I mean, it's just, and again, that's a major, not only a health issue as far as the EMFs are concerned, but also the stress issue, like you're saying, because it's nonstop now that you have a phone in your pocket or on your hip or wherever it may be, and you're trying to stay relaxed, you're trying to stay calm, you're trying to start your day comfortably, and all of a sudden the phone starts ringing off the hook or the texts start coming in. And all of a sudden now you're all uptight and nervous, and there goes your stress.
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely. And that's something that we never really think about, And, even today, as we talked about the muscle pain and, we joked around about the cell phone and the smartphones. I mean, and then back to the environment, to your question about to your question of me as far as with disease, the things like the cell phones are a bigger deal than you think. It's not just muscular. I mean, they affect their electromagnetic waves, everyone. They can impact infertility even. And you think something like that, especially for men, it lowers the sperm count of men and makes the quality of the sperm poor also, which once again affects the whole family. But on the natural side, again, I mean, there's this wonderful company, fruitfulway.com. They have a website, fruitfulway.com or .org, I should say, where they are actually able to, fruitfulway.com, where a lot of patients go, where they have natural ways to get pregnant, to become pregnancy ready. So even for infertility, you're looking at the cell phone being a problem. We're talking about the cell phone as a problem for muscle pain as well. So, it's funny how these environmental things are really impacting us. And now we're realizing, like, oh my gosh, we need to think a little bit more about what we're dealing with. But luckily, like I said, there's these companies and leveraging technology that fruitfulway.com. The reason why I love it is because there's an app there that helps you also, Tom. So if you're going to be on your phone, at least use it for something natural or something that's going to help you as well. And so, all of these things are important for us to consider. So these things that we talked about for pain today, the top three that I see as far as muscle pain, joint pains, and headaches, there are natural ways for us to do it, guys. And as we think about that, let's think about some of the things in our environment as well that we can do to avoid and be careful of. And see if there's anything else. And the good thing is the Internet's not perfect, but the Internet can at least start the conversation with some sources of some environmental things that we may not have been aware of that we need to really, that we really need to dial into nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, our time is up again. Unfortunately, the hour goes by way too fast. And
I agree.
I want to thank you, Dr. Red Cross, for being on the program again. It's another excellent hour of information. And hopefully, we'll talk to each other again in the near future.
Well, thank you. And I want everyone to have a beautiful Saturday out there. And once again, Tom, thanks for having me on. And enjoy until we speak again.
Okay, Doctor. Take care, and hopefully we'll speak again.
Absolutely. Take care.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And again, that was Dr. Ken Red Cross, and he's an excellent information to have on our program, and we're very grateful to have him. And you can get in touch with Dr. Red Cross once again by going to his website, drredcross.com, and that's REDCROSS. You can contact him through Twitter at Dr. Red Cross, and you could also get him on Facebook at Ken Red Cross MD. So once again, this is the Breast Cancer Awareness Show. And again, we are on every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can find us by going to www.breastcancerawarenessddv.com and clicking on Tune In. You can also listen to any of our past programs by going to the website and going through the months and the shows that were on the months, or in the months, I should say. And you can listen to any of our past programs, and all of our programs are very informative and educational. And like I said in the beginning, we have fantastic guests on every week that are well-schooled in so many different aspects of natural healing, supplements, and treatments in order to get your body into the right position and into the right situation so that you can stay healthy and stay alive. That's the most important thing of all. Especially if you're a female, so important to stay alive for your children, for your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend, whatever it may be. Most important person on this earth is the woman, and I can't emphasize that enough. And we learn that as we go through life. You know, we have our stereotypes, and, men try to be tough guys, but the reality of it all is that the woman is the most important person on the face of the earth. And without her, we wouldn't have any civilization. So when we all understand that, maybe we all can take the time to appreciate our women and take care of our women and make sure that they stay healthy. So very important in today's world with all of the horribleness that's going on. In the foods that we eat, the air that we breathe, the beverages that we drink, and obviously the drugs that are being passed out by these legalized drug dealers that we call doctors. Not all of them. As we had on today, Dr. Red Cross is an excellent man, a wonderful man, and he's doing the right thing and trying to get his patients to go on the right path and understand what their lives are about and what's going on in their lives. And unfortunately, that's not the norm. He's in the minority, but hopefully someday, that'll change. So again, until next week, we will speak to you at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, it's the Breast Cancer Awareness Show. Please visit the Donna Marino Facebook page. It's Donna Marino Breast Cancer Foundation. Please visit our page where we post information that's so vitally important. So until next Saturday, we'll take care, peace and love, and stay strong.
Tri-State Health and Wellness. If you're searching for a doctor who truly cares about your health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. Dr. Alex specializes in treating law enforcement professionals and their families and features special hours to accommodate different work shifts. All necessary testing can be performed in their friendly and comfortable environment. Contact Tri-State Health and Wellness, located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Call 201-791-7771. That's 201-791-7771.